wind up and pitch. That ball's hit well. Back deep to center field. There it is, and there it goes. Home run by Shaquille.
Here's the pitch. Here it goes. There's strike three. That's a complete game for Kinsey Hilser.
Tyler Carroll, step back three. Wet. He puts it in, and that is the dagger.
And there's another three for Katrina Roenfeld, just like she usually does. The Griffons are on top.
There's the bump, ball's in the air, and Allie Talkin lays down the thunder with that kill.
There's the handoff. Through the hole he goes. A huge stiff arm, and Shamar Griffin scores a touchdown for Missouri West.
Shoots her shot. Goal!
Brett Howard and Derek Zimmerman-Guyer proudly present to you the Western Windup.
You know, we're a sound offense, and we're excited to put some points up.
To quote Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised, expletive. Wow, what a barn burner.
Yeah, what are you not surprised about, Derek?
I'm not surprised that Missouri Western's offense went off like we talked about last week. This team has an offense that is for real, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And 45-35, Northwest gets the victory, unfortunately, for the Griffons. But I think this is, it's a loss, and the team is definitely upset and angry that they lost. But this is one of the best outings they've had in a long time against Northwest. Like, my goodness. And it started off terribly for them.
Yeah, and it really took that fake field goal. They went for a field goal down in Northwest territory. You could audibly hear fans yelling at them to go for it. And it looks like Coach really hurt him because he called that fake field goal. White Sox rolled through the touchdown. You know what he said to me afterwards? Question was, what were you thinking when you went for that play? His response was touchdown. That's the mentality I like out of my quarterback. Is for every play he's looking for that dime, that dot to score. I think he really impressed us. I think early on he had some mishaps. Some obviously he's new to the system, at least starting wise in actual games. But you could really tell in the second half that he got his bearings behind him, and other than a couple missed passes in the second half, he was pretty efficient in the second half. I think Wyatt Steigerwald really showed everyone what he's all about today.
Yeah, that quote you heard at the beginning of the show was senior quarterback for the Griffons, Wyatt Steigerwald, and his sound offense, and it was ever so sound. It didn't start off like we just said. They were down 28-7 at one point. That 7 coming on a pretty dicey call on a fake field goal. It worked out for the better how it went about. So first off, the drive started after an 80-yard punt return by Trey Vavel. I hope I'm not butchering his last name. Trey Vavel, the freshman back there, and he gets a good return all the way into Fort Hays territory, right near the goal line. And the offense goes 3-and-out.
Yeah.
And Coach Willie brings out Anthony Vespo, the freshman quarterback. And it works out in hindsight, because here comes Wyatt Steigerwald holding the ball on the field goal.
And you just assume that's because he's the backup now.
Yeah, and Northwest, I don't think they just don't think about it, seeing Vespo in, they're like, okay, well, that's the backup. And then, no, it's not. That's your starting quarterback right there, and he just threw his first touchdown of 5 total touchdowns, 3 in the air and 2 rushing for Wyatt Steigerwald. Man, he went off, and I know he had some bad reads with those 2 interceptions, that first one right to the linebacker, but I thought he played exceptionally well for a guy who hasn't started in over a year.
Yeah, and again, like you said, there were a couple things that he did do wrong. He threw a couple picks. He had a ball snapped over his head, which isn't his fault, but then
you got to get on that ball.
You got to get on top of it. And he went to try to scoop it before falling on it, and it fell out of his hands and was recovered by Northwest for a touchdown. But that's something you just got to fall on the ball, and you gotta limit those mistakes, because against a team like Northwest, you make too many of those mistakes, and it's gonna bite you in the ass, and it did in this game. They had 3 turnovers. They had 9 penalties, racking up over 100 yards. It was the small things that really cost this game for Missouri Western. But in the end, they made it a game that they could win. But in the end, it looked like Northwest just tired out our defense, and we ended up getting the loss.
Well, Missouri Western did exactly what I actually thought they would do, and what I was hoping they would do on offense right at the gate. First play of the game, Steigerwald deep down the sideline to Shamar Griffith for a 46-yard gain right there right there. They are setting the tone on offense against Northwest. And like you said, next play is a snap over the head of Steigerwald for a 43 yards scoop and score by Northwest, putting Western down super early, super quick. So I like the fact that the offense came out aggressive because this team, like we talked about before, their Missouri Western's identity was the run game.
Yeah.
We've had so many great running backs over the last couple of seasons. And the fact that our running back core now is still a three-headed monster. We got Shamar Griffon, we got Deron Thompson, and we got Markel Smith. Or as Chris Timpany likes to call him, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Earth being Markel Smith, Wind being Shamar Griffith because he's so quick, and then Fire being Deron Thompson. Great nickname by Chris Timpany.
Yeah, and we obviously saw in this game, I think everyone expected Shamar Griffith to come out as the lead back, but Markel Smith getting over 100 yards, and Shamar only had 10 rushes for 19 yards, and we love Shamar. We think he's a great athlete. He's a great player. This obviously wasn't his game, but when Shamar wasn't doing as well, you could see Markel step up, and he really took control of the running game in this offense. And also, like you said earlier, Wyatt Steigerwald with the 2 rushing touchdowns, both in the goal line. You could tell that just because we lost Dom doesn't mean we're going any farther away from the run game. Only 28 attempts from Steigerwald, so you know this is still a very balanced attack. And
just the fact this team was down 28-7 to start this game late in the second quarter, early in the second quarter, is 28-7 in favor of Northwest. Missouri Western goes down and gets a 2-yard run, touchdown by Steigerwald with 28 seconds left in the half, making it 28-14. And the thing is, there was, 2 defensive touchdowns in the first half?
Yep.
So realistically, this game is tied if Missouri Western doesn't make those mistakes.
And there was another turnover that directly led to a Northwest touchdown. The first score for Northwest was a fumble return for a touchdown. The second one was an interception that led to a 60-yard touchdown pass. And the third touchdown for Northwest was just a run. 4th touchdown, interception. So 3 of the first 4 were all just solely based on turnovers. So you don't make those early mistakes. They don't score 21 of their 28 points in the first half, at least as easily as they did.
Well, the fact Wyatt Steigerwald put up monster numbers against the reigning number 1 defense in the MIAA. 270 passing yards, 3 in the air, 2 on the ground, 5 total. That's a fantasy day, my friend. I know he had 2 picks. Like I said, first start in over a year, man.
Yeah.
And I think he balled out. And I think this translates very well over into this Thursday night's home away game versus Fort Hays State down in Kansas. And now this Fort Hays State team just got a big upset loss against UCM 34-30 also on Thursday night. So this team is vulnerable, and the fact that I like the most that sticks out for Western, it's almost identical. Fort Hays gave up 271 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. That's 1 yard away. That's almost identical to Steigerwald's numbers.
Yeah.
So the fact that they are vulnerable to the passing game, well, we need to look at how much UCM ran. Brooke Bowles over here for UCM, their lead rusher, had 271 on the ground. So not only are they getting shredded in the air, but on the ground game, it's lights out. So I think that 3-headed monster, Earth, Wind, and Fire, can also have a big day this Thursday night.
Yeah, and you talk about the similarities between the stats of Brooke Bowles and our quarterback, Wyatt Steigerwald. You could just see Steiger this last week was 14 for 28. This guy was 14 for 26.
And this is a quarterback running.
We had 270 passing yards. They had 271. So you can really tell that the similarities are there. You can see it, and UCM is widely regarded as a passing team, a pass-first team, who run when they need to and are obviously really good at it. But you can just see the similarities between this, and I think this actually opens up a really good spot for us. The thing we have to look for, though, is Northwest did not throw a lot. No. They didn't. They focused on the run game. This last game, Fort Hays threw 42 passes for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, I think even with the game behind us, I still think our pass defense is a little bit young, and we don't really know what to expect from them, especially since Northwest didn't throw that much. So I think the thing we got to watch for going into this next game is definitely our pass defense to see if we can stand up with Fort Hays' pass offense.
We're going to have to hold Missouri Western's going to hold the rushing game as well. I meant to say Brooke Bowles had 271 in the air, not on the ground, but he did have 64, so watch out for him down there. But you see him rushing in total 35 attempts for 256 on the ground, or 245 net. That's going to be dangerous.
That's over 500 yards
That's
of offense.
dangerous, yeah. So Fort Hays, they got shredded both ways here. And, well, Fort Hays doesn't have a bad passing attack with Chance Fuller, don't they?
They don't. It's actually quite good, and that's what you see in the MLA nowadays. The really good teams, the top-heavy teams, either have one thing: a good defense or a good passing game. Everyone in the MLA, mostly everyone, has a pretty good running game, or at least above average. But if you have a really good passing game, you're probably going to be a good team in the MLA. And both these teams, both Central and Fort Hays, had really good passing games. So I'm not surprised at the 34-30 outcome that they got. And you see Missouri Western now coming in with Wyatt Steigerwald. If he can improve without the season, I think we can see a really good team here.
And Fort had 137 on the ground, it looked like. So they're not up to par with Northwest run game. Their run game was dynamite with Rankin and Strayhorn.
Yeah.
They were shredding up Missouri Western's defense for the most part. It was tough to stop them. I thought one thing I was really impressed by the Griffons on defense, open field tackling. Open field tackling has vastly improved since last season, and it really helps limit the big plays that swing the momentum like we talked about in the preview for this Northwest game, when you can get someone down before they are able to break off a big run. And we did have one of those plays with that 60-yard bomb, but that was about it for Northwest, really, wasn't it?
In the first half, you really saw Northwest was a team that took that 28-14 lead because of big plays. You don't give up those big plays, maybe the score's completely different, and maybe we win this game. But they load up those big plays, and Northwest didn't have to do anything in that first half. They just had to be at the right place at the right time, and they have a 21-7 lead just like that. One thing I do want to talk about with Fort Hays is you saw in this UCM game, Fort Hays' goal line defense was not very good. UCM had 3 touchdowns within the 20-yard line. And one thing we got to look at is if we can at least get down there, we could score. If we can take advantage of this defense.
I think Steigerwald showed off that he has the ability to run, and we haven't seen much of him, being a backup last year and being more of a pocket passer in his time there. But he showed off his legs for the most part, and I think with the fact that Missouri Western has that 3-headed running back core, it's just crazy, and the fact they have a running quarterback that can get it done too, both of his feet and his arm, being near the goal line in the red zone, I think they could score every time.
And I think you can look at him as someone kind of like a Russell Wilson, and we obviously know Russell Wilson can run really well. He's an accomplished runner, but he doesn't because the coach doesn't want him to. He doesn't want him to get injured, obviously. But at any point, Russell Wilson can beat you with his arm or his legs. And I think Wyatt can turn into that kind of player once we see some more of him, obviously. We get to know more of who he is on the field. I think that's someone you can turn to. Is someone who you have to maybe not always look out for his running game, but always know that it could happen. Maybe you leave one linebacker in the box to watch him. That could open up some plays. So obviously it's a playmaking ability by Wyatt Steigerwald.
Styling Wyatt Steigerwald. Big day against Northwest. I predict another big day against Fort Hays State. Like I said earlier, with what Fort Hays gave up in the air, I just see it happening once again. I think Missouri Western puts up big yards, especially in the passing game. I think the Griffons get the win, 31-27. And people might say, well, Fort Hays is going to come in this game really pissed off. They're going to come in this upset because they lost to a UCM team they don't think they should have lost to. And this Fort Hays team is still ranked nationally. They are now 25th. But the thing is, Missouri Western has every right to be mad, and I bet they are. The way they played, they expected to beat Northwest, and that hasn't really been the culture around here for a while. You heard those quotes in Brandon Zinner's story on News Press Now by Arnold that Missouri Western is sick of playing little brother to Northwest, and it didn't show to begin with, being down 28-7, but the way they fought back. Down 21, That's huge. And I think it's a new era for Missouri Western. And like I said, 31-27, Stylen Steigerwald and that Griffon rotation, that running back, they're going to get it done.
Well, I want to move a little bit. We're talking about some early falls from contention early on in the game. Obviously, Missouri Western football going down 28-7 and 28-14 at the half. Let's talk about another team that just wasn't doing very good at the beginning of the games. Let's talk about soccer.
Griffon
Obviously
soccer
lost 2 games this past weekend, both falling down 2-0 early in the game and not being able to fight their way back. We talked to Chad Edwards, and this is obviously not the start that he wanted, but you could tell just by the way he's talking that like the defense is looking good. The Missouri West soccer defense is looking good. It's the early part of the matchup when it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and they need to get that intensity and that fire up earlier in the game. But they lost 2-0 both games, but we still saw some outstanding goalkeeping by Anna Mayer. We saw some really good defense by our own Griffons. But again, you fall early. What can you do out of that, especially in soccer, a game that's so hard to score sometimes?
Well, Anna Mayer set a new program record for 18 saves, the most by a Griffon soccer goalkeeper in program history. So hats off to her. That is quite the feat, even though it came in a defeat. Chad Edwards, he said, well, he had this to say.
Just getting comfortable with each other. We have a lot of new starters and players that are in some of our new roles and so forth. And so, we, with not having any seniors, we don't have a load of experience, right? And so, we don't have that much time being a fall sport. You don't have that much time to prepare. So we just have to continue to work out and get, battle and bring a good mindset and get energy to training. And if we do that, we'll be just fine.
So Coach Edwards thinks this team needs to come together. They're still finding their way. This is a team with no seniors. We've talked about this. And it really showed, especially in that Sunday game against Rockhurst. Same girl, Leach. She scored twice within 10 minutes.
Yeah, and she almost scored a third time. She almost had a hat trick within the first 15, 20 minutes of the game, and that's just something you can't do. You got to turn those jets on. And they have all the rally stuff. You have Ryan Mindley's video that he plays for the game.
Those are always awesome.
They have the teams. It's always hyping each other up. But, if you're going to hype each other, you're going to keep that hype going into the game. And the slow starts for women's soccer, I don't think it's going to continue. I don't think it will. I think this is too good of a team for that to continue. But that's something I think they need to look at and make sure that's over soon. Mm-hmm. Because as we talked about in our last podcast, they are not good whenever they lose. They
give up goals early. Yeah.
And they're really good, coincidentally, when they score first.
Wow, that's weird. So, is that how scoring works?
I mean, I guess. But it's just you look at them, they fall twice early, 2-0, and they lose. So this just needs to be something that they fix, and I think this team's too good, and they'll fix it pretty easily.
It's cut and dry, baby. They're too historically good to go down like this, and I think they have a good chance to get their swagger back this weekend. Friday they play at home, Wayne State College, who is 0-1. So this team hasn't won. University of Sioux Falls 0-1 as well. So battle of the winless teams going on here.
Yeah.
I think Missouri Western, like I just said, historically good. They got the talent. They got Taylor Schwarzkopf. They got T. Sizzle. They got all those playmakers. They got a great goalkeeper in Anna Meyer.
Who's only a sophomore at this point.
So the fact they have all those studs, this shouldn't last. Yeah. This will not last. And they will pick up wins this weekend.
Yeah, we got a game on Friday, again, like Derek said, against Wayne State at 6 p.m. Then a game against Sioux Falls on Sunday at 1 p.m. But let's talk about another team. Let's wrap this up. Let's get to our final team that we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
You want to introduce them, Derek?
I'm going to introduce someone who's carrying this team. Alec Talkin, Jr. 49 kills and 14 sets. That is good for 5th in the MIAA. I know it's been 4 games, but 4-0, like we said. Come on. You saw the competition from last week.
We all expected this, and I don't think anyone's surprised as to what's going on right now.
Even athletic director Josh Looney, who has high expectations for every team, he looked at that schedule and he was like, oh yeah, that's a cake. That's a cakewalk. That is a birthday cake, and it was volleyball's birthday, so they ate.
It was, and you look at that, and these are some great warm-up games. And a lot of times with fall sports, you don't get that warm-up. You don't get that time to actually prepare because you just came back to school, and bam, here's some games to play. So I think there's some really good warm-up games for volleyball, and I don't think anyone thought anything different. 2 games they shut out the opponents, and the other 2 games they only let up the single score. So, I think this is exactly what we expected, and I think they'll be able to pick this up to keep this momentum going into their next invitational.
They definitely have tougher competition this coming weekend, starting on Friday, down in Springfield, Missouri, for the Drury Invitational, kicking off with who else? Drury University.
Isn't that weird?
They will take on Drury at 11 a.m., and then later on that day in the afternoon at 3 p.m., they'll take on Truman State University. Tomorrow, Saturday at 9 a.m., it will be Colorado Mesa University, and then they have a tough challenge at 3 p.m. on Saturday against the number 7 ranked Northern State University. And now this is not going to be no cakewalk,
No.
like the Gorilla, what is it called? The Gorilla Classic Tournament. We don't even know what it's called because that is a cakewalk tournament.
Yeah.
But these 4 teams have a combined record of 10-6, and that's way better than the last 4 teams. I think it's going to bring the best out of Western. I think it's going to bring the best out of Allie Talkin. Like we just said, 49 kills is 5th best for the MIAA. I think she finishes from the top 3. I think this brings the best out of her, and we're going to see her dominate and lay down that thunder this coming weekend.
And I think that's one thing you can expect from Griffon Volleyball this next weekend. But also another thing you got to look at is they did just beat 4 easy teams. We got to make sure that they aren't lackadaisical.
Right.
We got to make sure that they know that they're going into a tough schedule. And sometimes you play those easy games and you get into a rhythm of this is how it's going to be. And then you get one knock on your ass and it's done because you weren't prepared for it. So they just got to prepare. We know Griffon sports. We know that no one prepares like the Griffons do for games. So we'll see how it goes.
We're going to see where this goes. We're going to see how many nicknames we can rattle off here in just a couple minutes. Not too long. This will close this out. We'll give a little Chiefs talk in a minute. There's not much to talk about.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville doesn't want to talk about it for sure. They're over there trying to throw hands and whatnot.
Yeah, well.
Get a hold of yourself, Miles Jack. You're a professional. You're a professional, man. Come on. Damon Wheeler Jr. Wheels.
Okay.
Wheels. That's
I
his
can deal with
nickname.
that.
You like it?
I can deal with that.
Markel was Earth for the Earth, Wind, and Fire. Markel
Yeah.
Smith.
I quite like that. Thanks,
And-
Christopher Tenpenny, for that one.
Duron Thompson. He is the Fire. And Shamar Griffith, who is ShamWow, and now he's Wind. So we got the freaking Avatar: The Last Airbender elements over here. So we're getting fun up in here.
We're trying.
let's-
Kobe Cummins is obviously very instrumental in that defense.
Oh, he had
against,
11 tackles, I think.
Northwest.
Yeah, he did a very good job, sophomore defensive back, stepping up.
So what are we going to call him? What's his nickname?
Dual threat, because he plays baseball.
He does play baseball. Yeah,
I'm going to call him dual threat for now until we think of something else. Hope you like it, Kobe. Kobe! I'm just going to scream Kobe every time.
His nickname is his first name.
His nickname is Kobe. It's such a great name, though.
What about Vespo?
Oh, man. I can't say Tony because that's already Anthony Williams. It's the Viper. His is the Viper. I've seen that on Twitter.
Okay.
He's the Viper. You got Style and Steigerwald. We already talked about him. Oh, let's see.
Ooh, we gotta give a nickname to Sam Avilas.
Sam.
Best kicker in the MIAA.
Sam Avilas. What's it gonna be, Sammy? It's gonna be Sammy. Well, let's go with Sammy Watkins. Let's call him the Lizard King.
Lizard King.
Is he the Lizard King?
I'll think of one. We'll think about that one.
What else we got? Sam Webb, Spider-Man.
That's easy.
That's easy.
That's
Well, you know.
you're shooting fish in a barrel.
Kind of like Missouri Western's offense against any defense. Am I right? Pow! White Steiger rolled downfield for another one.
That was nice. I quite like that actually.
Sam Webb. Oh man. The defensive Webb. I don't know.
I'm thinking like Webb and like string together interceptions and stuff like that. I'm really trying hard not to cuss at this point. Like it's
You've dropped a couple, man. We're both.
I've said ass
We're a PG.
3 times now.
What about Luke Dees? Luke Dees. He's got a
pinpoint.
freaking boot for a leg.
What am I thinking?
Goat. Let's just go with Goat.
Goat.
Yeah. Goat.
The greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time. Let's do one more. Let's find a good one. Let's find a good one. What do we got here? Oh, I know who we can do.
Oh.
Hayden Eatinger.
Snacks.
Gonna call him Snacks because he's an O-lineman.
Yeah.
You inconsiderate ass.
Okay, see, that's a little more rude. I was thinking Snacks because he has eat in his name.
Okay, that works. I got one more. Jacob Olsen. I'm gonna call him Moss because look at that curly moss in this picture. I can appreciate good curly hair, Jacob. So my moss is off to your moss. Heyo.
It's you got Kyle Murphy, kind of like Kyler Murray, but like
offensive lineman.
an offensive lineman and not the NFL.
And like a whole foot taller.
Yeah.
He's not a whole foot taller, but
I don't know. He's pretty short.
It seems like it. Whatever. Chiefs. They pistol whipped the Jaguars. I got a little nervous with Mahomes on one foot and Tyreek going out. That's going to be tough. But I think Watkins will step up to the challenge. We'll have to see what McCole Hardman does. The fact that our offense can do that with a one-legged quarterback against one of the league's best defenses in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, should we be that worried?
Yeah, you could see once Tyreek fell off, once he got injured, you kind of expected more receivers to get into the game, but they really didn't.
It's all Sammy.
Just focused on Sammy. He threw it to Travis. He threw it out of the backfield. We have a person in our fantasy league who decided to start McCole Hardman, which, sure, I kind of expected him to get a couple of catches.
I started Sammy Watkins.
Out of nowhere. But
big day.
Even after the Tyreek injury, McCole Hardman was nowhere to be found. So it was a little weird. I kind of expected more receivers, but Shady had a fun KC debut. Back with Coach Reed, obviously.
Shady McCoy.
Patrick limping around, not able to put all of his weight on his legs.
378, 3 touchdowns. He's still
injured
MVP.
And without one of his top receivers.
His top guy.
Like
Travis Kelce only had 3 catches. They were big yards, but only 3 catches. Could have a touchdown if Mahomes isn't no-looking. He's out there swaggering around.
Even on a bad day, which I consider this a bad day for Mahomes.
40 points is a bad day.
Or not even and looking at what he did. With bum leg, without a receiver, with only 3 catches to Travis, still put up 40 points, still put over 300 yards, still 3 touchdowns. Come on. But then obviously there's Miles Jack, who just decided that he wanted to revert back to his 14-year-old self and try to beat people up because testosterone. Yeah, I guess. I don't know whatever other reason there is when you're trying to fight the people you're playing, and then you try to fight your own coaches as you get ejected when you threw a punch and you knew that was gonna.
Everything's initiated by him.
How do you fight someone for being?
How do you punch a helmet?
Why would you punch? Okay.
Who punches a helmet?
Why in football fights are you punching people with helmets on? This conversation started back with Andre Johnson and who was that he fought?
Cortland Finnegan.
When Cortland punched Andre in the face with a helmet on, that's just gonna hurt your hand.
Andre laid down the boom on Cortland and never heard from him again.
that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But no, that's immature.
It's immature.
You see it a lot in the NFL. There's a lot of people really immature who just want to start crap with everyone, but
like Antonio Brown.
I think it's
a conspiracy, but you can hear about that on Griffon Update, and you can hear about a bunch of different Missouri Western sports if you go and watch Brandon Zinner of News Press Now, the sports director there. Watch Griffon Sports Spotlight. It just came out yesterday. He talks with Coach Matt Williamson, talks about the 4A state preview, and you can also listen to Dropping Dimes. That is the first week. This is the first week that Christopher Tenpenny has changed his podcast name to Dropping Dimes with Christopher Tenpenny. So go listen to that. Brandon Zinner was on that one as well. That drops today. I'm pretty sure they just posted it as we walked as we walked into the booth, into the micro studio. So go give them a listen. Go give them some views. And keep supporting us, and we'll keep supporting you. We're always going to support Missouri Western Athletics. We're going to keep going on and going on. Follow us at Twitter, at Western Windup.
Yep, if you want a little more handheld, you can pick up the Griffon News. I'm the sports editor for there. I will be getting you your Griffon sports news in the newspaper style and online at griffonnews.com. Just thank you for listening to this. Thank you for following us, and thank you for supporting us and what we've been doing.
For Brett Howery, this is Derek Zimmerman-Guyer. Western Windup is signing off.
See you later.